This week does add a whole bunch of context to the image I chose to use behind me, because I thought even in this image behind me, I thought that was our Loki that the show was following throughout the series, and it turns out not at all. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Whole Views, and today we're going to be discussing Loki, the latest episode that we've gotten. I believe is the penultimate one, the last one before the finale. And I must say, I called it a few weeks ago. I called the Council of Lokis, and I finally got it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't so far. Continue to help us grow, continue to help us do big things. And when talking about Loki, this episode, that council that I thought that we would get, it did not look at all like I thought it would look. I thought that we would get several different versions of Tom Hiddleston. While we have glimpses of that throughout the series, I thought we would have a bunch of those on screen at the same time, but we did not. But this week does add a whole bunch of context to the image I chose to use behind me, because I thought even in this image behind me, I thought that was our Loki that the show was following throughout the series, and it turns out not at all. That's just a meaner, different version of Loki leading a band of marauders. Possible Lokis in that band, as well as the 3 or 4 versions that we were introduced to in the post-credit last episode. There was a lot of things that went on that I found to be kind of convenient. Just the fact that Mobius was able to link up with Sylvie relatively easy. I did expect us to see Mobius, and I do expect us to see part of his story wrap up, and I do want to see Mobius on a jet ski. Let's do that. At the beginning of this series, I never imagined that Judge Rencor, that character, would be such a big pivotal character throughout. She is slippery, and she is slimy, and she is very two-faced. I just didn't expect to have all those layers present in that character. I thought she was like a one-off. I had no idea that she would be such a big pivotal role. She's basically the villain of the series right now. It feels like the little relationship that was brewing, again unbeknownst to me from the first episode, where they were sitting on the rocks and such, but it seems like the little relationship between Loki and Sylvie is brewing into something. I still don't know how to feel about that, and that's it. That's all I have to say. I don't know how I feel about that. The person who played the OG Loki, the classic Loki from the comics, I felt his performance very well, because he showed up, and in a short amount of time he gave real depth to his character, as well as like the Loki backstory. Like, I just went away and I stayed by myself, and I got lonely, and then as soon as I tried to leave, they came get me. But his character kind of embodied the change that we've seen over several movies and series with our version of Loki that we follow. And so it was real cool to see him have a sacrifice at the end that was meaningful, because his character to me had the most meaning throughout, or among all the other versions of Loki. Like, he searched for meaning a lot more than the other versions did, and I'm glad he found meaning in that final sacrifice. And his power was kind of off the chain, with the whole casting of Asgard. That was pretty nice to see. I won't get into theories about who is possibly behind it, because I have no idea still. I'm glad to go along on the ride. As far as the series goes, I think that this was a great ride to go on, more so than Falcon and Winter Soldier. If I had to rank the series at this moment, WandaVision would probably still be number 1, because of the twists and turns that it took and the way it kind of engulfed you a little bit more than Falcon and Winter Soldier. I do feel like Falcon and Winter Soldier has a solid place in the MCU rankings of shows and things like that. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it was way more toned down with the mystery, and it was way more hyped up and more it delivered more with the action. So Falcon and Winter Soldier was definitely good, but I would probably put Loki above it at this point, especially if they stick the landing with this final episode. There was a lot of twists and turns, and I think that's what we've grown accustomed to liking from our television shows. Like, we want to see something that engages us and kind of brings us along on a real nice journey, as well as keeps us intrigued as we go along. So I think Loki is a bit better with the layer of intrigue that they have than Falcon and Winter Soldier, and it's a little bit more gripping than Falcon and Winter Soldier was. But again, that's not downplaying Falcon and Winter Soldier by any means. Very good episode though. I was very into it. So I think it's a good one. I hope that we get a good finale next week. Please come back, check out my wrap up of the little Loki series, and enjoy yourself. Guard your heart. Come back and check out more videos.